Do you remember the last time she looked at you? Really looked at you? That moment when the world disappeared, and her eyes carried a storm you couldn't read, a secret you were too blind to see? That look, the one you replay in your mind at 3 a.m., was her way of saying things she never spoke. And you missed it. Every time. Think about it. The words she whispered before leaving, the laughter that felt like it belonged only to you, the way she vanished from your life like a ghost, leaving only questions behind. You've obsessed over it, haven't you? Every memory, every text, every silence, it's haunted you, gnawed at you, made you doubt yourself. And yet, here's the truth. She's not thinking about you the way you think about her. She moved on. But you're trapped in the echo of what she left behind. This video isn't going to comfort you. It's going to burn through the illusions you've been clinging to. It will force you to face the heartbreak, the betrayals, the moments you didn't understand, and see the truth behind her mind, the female psychology you were blind to. You'll realize what she really meant, what she wanted, and why she left a piece of herself in your hands without ever saying a word. But before we go deeper, I want you to do something. Write in the comments the last thing she said before walking away. Relive it, feel it, confront it. Only then can you uncover the truth hidden in every glance, every gesture, every silent message she left behind. Because after this, you'll never see her, your heart break, or yourself the same way again, and every word that follows will pull you in, consuming you, teaching you, revealing what 97% of men never understand. 1. The art of subtle mystery. Have you ever noticed how some men can send a single text and make a woman think about them for hours, while others write paragraphs and get nothing in return? The difference isn't in what they say, it's in what they don't say. Mystery is the invisible force that pulls her toward you, like gravity, without her even realizing it, and when used correctly, it becomes unstoppable. Let's start in London with a guy named Daniel. Daniel wasn't wealthy. He didn't have flashy cars or a wardrobe full of designer clothes, but he had one thing that made him unforgettable: subtle mystery. When he texted Emma, he didn't give away every detail of his life. He didn't describe his dinner, his commute, or his thoughts in a 10-line message. Instead, he sent a single line. "I ran into someone today who reminded me of you. Guess who?" And then he waited. Emma, sitting in a cafe staring at her phone, couldn't stop thinking. Who did he meet? What did he mean? Her mind raced. She tried to guess, replaying every interaction they had shared. That one tiny text pulled her into a mental loop where she was thinking about him nonstop. The beauty of subtle mystery is that it forces her imagination to do the work. She becomes the participant in the story, and in doing so, she starts craving more of you. Subtle mystery is not manipulation, it's chemistry. It's the dance between revealing enough to intrigue her and withholding enough to keep her guessing. Think about the women you've known, the ones who were instantly drawn to certain men. The attraction wasn't always about looks, money, or status. It was about the energy, the unknown, the feeling that there was something more beneath the surface. Here's another example in New York. Michael was chatting with Olivia over text. Instead of sending a play-by-play of his day, he wrote, "I saw something today that made me question everything I know. Want to hear about it?" Olivia didn't reply immediately. Her mind was hooked. She imagined the possibilities, wondering what could be so profound. That curiosity created anticipation. By the time Michael replied with a short story that was intentionally vague in parts, Olivia felt like she had discovered a secret about him, but only part of it. That's the power of subtle mystery. She feels rewarded for paying attention, but she never fully figures you out. Subtle mystery also taps into the psychological principle that women are naturally drawn to challenge. When everything about a man is obvious, predictable, or fully exposed, her interest wanes. But when there's something she can't decode immediately, her mind engages, her emotions stir, and she starts chasing without realizing it. In Sydney, for instance, Jack knew this instinctively. Instead of texting long paragraphs, he sent lines like, "I have a story that will make you laugh, but only if you promise to be honest with me." First, simple, short, but instantly magnetic. Notice the pattern in these examples. The texts are all short, slightly teasing, and deliberately incomplete. They leave room for curiosity, imagination, and emotional engagement. That's what subtle mystery is, creating a space where she wants to know more. But you don't over-explain. She begins to project her own desire, her own fantasies, into that space, and suddenly, you've become the center of her attention. Subtle mystery works on deeper psychological levels too. It triggers the human brain's reward system. Every time she uncovers a hint, every time she receives a new message that builds on the unknown, her brain releases dopamine. She starts associating excitement, pleasure, and intrigue with you. And here's the key. Dopamine loops create craving. The longer she stays curious, the more her mind connects that thrill with wanting you. It's also important to understand that subtle mystery is not about being cold or detached. It's about being selective with your revelations. You still show personality, humor, and intelligence, but in measured doses that keep her guessing. For example, in Toronto, Liam texted Sarah, "I found a place today that reminded me of our conversation last week. I can't decide if it's genius or insane." He didn't explain. He left her mind wandering. She replied with questions, curiosity rising. Liam didn't need to chase. Her desire to know more did all the work. Subtle mystery is reinforced by consistency and contrast. If a man is predictable, she loses interest. But if he alternates between small reveals, playful teasing, and moments of silence, she learns to anticipate. And anticipation breeds attraction. London, New York, Sydney, Toronto, these are cities filled with men who text endlessly, thinking quantity equals impact. But the rare man who masters subtle mystery, he commands attention effortlessly. Finally, subtle mystery isn't just about texting, it's about energy, presence, and the way you exist outside her world. When you appear in her messages sparingly, with a hint of intrigue and depth, you're signaling value. You're showing that you have a life, that your attention is earned, and that you're not available to everyone. That scarcity, combined with the curiosity you spark, is irresistible. In the end, the art of subtle mystery is simple in concept but difficult to master. It requires restraint, awareness, and a deep understanding of female psychology. Men who overshare, overexplain, or flood texts with their lives fail because they remove the very thing women crave: curiosity and mental engagement. Master subtle mystery, and you don't just text, you create desire, intrigue, and attraction that lingers long after the phone is put down. 2. Timing creates tension. Have you ever noticed how some messages hit differently depending on when they arrive? It's not just what you say, it's when you say it. Timing in texting is a subtle weapon, a psychological lever that can turn casual interest into deep desire. And when used correctly, it transforms the mundane act of messaging into a game of emotional pull that women find impossible to resist. Let's start in London with a guy named Oliver. Oliver had a habit of texting Emma at precisely the moment when she had finished her day, when she was scrolling through her phone alone, sipping her tea and just settling into the quiet. He didn't text constantly, he didn't chase responses, but when he did reach out, his timing created an almost electric tension. One night, he sent a simple line. "Just walked past a cafe that reminded me of our conversation. Made me smile." Emma read it at exactly 9:03 p.m., and something in her chest fluttered. The tension wasn't just curiosity, it was desire, amplified by the perfect moment. Timing creates tension because the human mind craves patterns, yet responds intensely to controlled unpredictability. If a man replies instantly to every message, he becomes predictable and over time boring. But if he waits, if he sends the right text at the right moment, she starts anticipating it. That anticipation sparks dopamine in her brain, the same chemical released when we chase rewards. Her mind begins to orbit around you, waiting, wondering, craving the next interaction. Consider New York. Marcus was texting Chloe. Instead of responding, immediately he waited just long enough to create suspense, a brief pause that made Chloe question why he hadn't answered yet. By the time he replied, her excitement had multiplied. His text wasn't longer or more elaborate than usual, it was perfectly timed. She laughed, she teased, and she subconsciously valued his attention more than she would have if he had replied instantly. Timing had turned a normal conversation into an emotional thrill. Timing also works when you catch her at emotionally potent moments. In Sydney, Liam knew that texting during a lunch break, when Olivia was between tasks, or in the evening, when she was reflecting on her day, made his messages resonate more. His texts arrived when her mental guard was down, when curiosity and imagination were heightened. A simple "I just saw something that made me think of you" became far more impactful than it would have at 8 a.m. in the chaos of her commute. Emotional timing is everything. It dictates when your words land and how deeply they hit. Timing creates tension because it balances presence and absence. If a man is too present, too eager, the tension evaporates. But if he is strategic, selective, and aware of her rhythm, he creates a dynamic of pursuit without effort. Emma in London, Chloe in New York, Olivia in Sydney, they were all reacting not just to what was said, but to the calculated spacing of each message. Every delayed response, every perfectly timed tease, made their minds linger longer, imagine more and feel more intensely. This is why Stoicism complements the art of timing. A Stoic man doesn't panic when she takes hours to reply. He understands that value isn't proven through speed or frequency, it's proven through calm, confident pacing. Timing becomes a tool of self-control, turning your texting into an unspoken signal of strength and presence. Women sense it instinctively. They respect it, they crave it, and they are drawn to it. Let's look at Toronto. Daniel was texting Sarah. He knew that her evenings were her reflective moments. So instead of texting randomly, he waited until she was likely alone, maybe finishing her dinner, maybe scrolling through her phone on the couch. His texts were short, intriguing, and arrived in those windows of heightened emotional receptivity. She didn't just read them, she felt them. Her mind lingered, her heart raced slightly, and every text became a mini emotional event. Timing had turned mundane messages into experiences she remembered. Timing also leverages scarcity, a psychological principle every man should understand. When a man doesn't respond instantly, he signals that his attention is valuable. The longer yet reasonable the pause, the more tension builds. She begins to subconsciously measure how much she wants it, and by the time he replies, her emotional investment has increased. In cities like London, New York, Sydney, and Toronto, men flood texts, trying to win attention with volume. The rare man who understands timing commands respect with restraint and precision. But the key isn't to be absent, it's to be present in the right moments. Timing is a rhythm, a flow that makes her subconsciously chase your energy rather than your words. The more she anticipates your messages, the more she engages mentally, emotionally, and even physically. Her excitement becomes tied to your presence, her mind preoccupied with you, and her desire subtly magnified by the strategic cadence of your texts. Even the content of your messages is amplified by timing. A playful tease, a clever question, or a subtle hint of intrigue lands with more force when timed correctly. Michael in New York sent Chloe, "I saw someone today who reminded me of you. Can you guess who?" He waited 2 hours to reply to her guess, building suspense. By the time he finally responded, Chloe was deeply invested, emotionally engaged, and eager for the next interaction. Timing had turned a single playful text into an experience of desire. Finally, timing creates tension because it mirrors life itself. Women are attracted to men who are grounded, patient, and deliberate, qualities that timing naturally signals. When you master timing, you're not just texting, you're communicating value, confidence, and control. You're saying without words, I have my own life. I am not desperate for attention. You are lucky to have my focus. That tension is magnetic. It's irresistible. In conclusion, timing is not about playing games or being manipulative. It's about understanding psychology, rhythm, and emotional impact. It's about creating moments where your words, your presence, and your subtle intrigue land with maximum effect. Men who grasp the power of timing, men who send the right text at the right moment. In London, New York, Sydney, Toronto, or anywhere, transform ordinary messaging into an art form that women can't resist. Timing creates tension. Tension sparks desire, and desire builds attraction. Master this, and you don't just text, you command attention. You create craving, and you become unforgettable through the power of emotional triggers. Have you ever noticed how a single phrase, a single image, or even a single word can completely change the way someone thinks about you? That's the power of emotional triggers. And when it comes to texting women, few things are more potent than sparking emotion, deep, raw, unforgettable emotion. Timing and wording alone won't do it. You need to understand what makes her feel something that she can't ignore, something that pulls her in closer every time she thinks of you. Let's start in London. A man named James had been talking to Lily for weeks. He wasn't sending long essays or constant memes. Instead, he was learning about her life, her passions, her small frustrations, and her moments of joy. Then one evening, he sent a simple text. "Remember that little cafe you love by the Thames? I walked past today and thought of your smile." That short message didn't just make her smile, it made her feel. It connected him to her world. to her memories, to her emotions. She wasn't just reading a text, she was reliving a moment, experiencing nostalgia, and feeling a subtle warmth toward him that had nothing to do with his looks or social status. That is the essence of emotional triggers. Emotional triggers work because women are wired to respond to stimuli that touch their emotional core. A text that makes her laugh, think, reminisce, or even blush is more powerful than a paragraph of logic or flattery. In New York, Michael was texting Sarah. He knew she loved adventure. So he sent, "I passed a street musician today, and for a second, I imagined you dancing like you always do in your apartment. It made me grin like an idiot." That single text caused Sarah to pause mid-scroll, laugh quietly, and replay the memory of herself dancing, suddenly imagining him, imagining her. Emotional triggers bridge imagination and desire. Think about Sydney. Liam wanted to grab Olivia's attention, not through quantity of text, but through quality of emotion. He sent her a text that wasn't just playful, it sparked intrigue. "I discovered a tiny bookstore today that reminds me of something you'd love. Want me to take you there?" In that moment, Olivia's mind raced, visualizing herself walking down the aisles, thinking about him beside her. The emotional trigger wasn't just the bookstore, it was the connection he created between her passions and him. Emotional triggers are, in essence, subtle invitations to imagine a shared reality, and when a woman imagines a life or a moment with you, desire strengthens. Emotional triggers also work through curiosity and contrast. In Toronto, Daniel was texting Chloe. He knew she enjoyed art, but she didn't expect him to notice the small things. He sent, "I saw a painting today that I know would make you roll your eyes, but I think secretly you'd love it." That playful contrast between challenge and compliment created a mini emotional roller coaster. Chloe laughed, felt flattered, and mentally engaged with him longer than a simple hi could ever achieve. Emotional triggers exploit these tiny fluctuations of emotion, making your texts unforgettable. Another key element of emotional triggers is personalization. The more specific and tailored a message is to her personality, her quirks, or her interests, the more powerful it becomes. Generic lines are ignored, but a text that shows you truly see her, her subtle habits, her passions, her fears cuts through the noise. Emma in London received a text from Oliver that read, "I remember you said you love rain on the balcony. It rained today and I thought of how you'd watch it. Lost in your own world." That text wasn't just about rain, it was about her world, her inner life, and women respond emotionally to that recognition. Emotional triggers also leverage the power of memory. A well-placed reminder of a shared moment, a private joke, or a subtle callback can reignite desire, almost instantly. Michael in New York once sent Sarah, "Remember that stupid ice cream fight last month? I still think you cheated with the sprinkles." That single line made her laugh, recall the fun, and feel a warm connection all over again. Emotional triggers don't just create feeling, they reawaken past feelings, associating them with you. Even subtle language can act as a trigger. Words that hint at adventure, excitement, intimacy, or playful challenge activate curiosity and desire. In London, James texted Lily, "I discovered a hidden path in Hyde Park today. Makes me wonder if you'd dare to explore it with me." Just that hint of adventure, paired with her imagination of doing it together, sparked desire. Emotional triggers are effective because they merge imagination with anticipation. She begins to think about experiencing life with you. Emotional triggers work best when paired with restraint. If you overwhelm her with constant triggers, they lose power. The key is to be strategic. Give her something to feel between texts, a subtle reminder of you lingering in her mind. Timing, pacing, and emotional weight combine to make each message feel like an event rather than background noise. Finally, emotional triggers are not manipulation, they are amplification. You are not pretending or faking emotion. You are connecting authentically, paying attention, and expressing it in a way that engages her mind and heart. In cities like London, New York, Sydney, and Toronto, women are constantly bombarded by meaningless texts. The man who can evoke genuine emotion, even in a single line, stands out instantly. Emotional triggers make you memorable, magnetic, and irresistible. In conclusion, the power of emotional triggers lies in their ability to spark deep, personal, and memorable feelings. They make her pause, imagine, laugh, reminisce, and ultimately, crave the next interaction with you. They transform simple texting from routine to magnetic, creating tension, anticipation, and desire. Men who master this, who learn how to tie words to her emotions, to her imagination, and to her memories, don't just communicate. They command attention, create craving, and become unforgettable. Conclusion. The 3 texting secrets women can't resist aren't tricks. They're principles of attraction, subtle mystery, timing, and emotional resonance. Combine these and texting becomes a tool of magnetic connection. Most men will never understand this. Most men will keep sending needy, boring messages. You, however, can change the game. You can become the man she can't ignore. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.